For wrestling diehards only, this is the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in. It is another edition of the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast coming at you live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, Instagram account, and the Idaho Wrestling News Facebook page as well. We do this live every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Pacific Time here in the great state of Idaho. And we're talking about the sport that everybody loves. That's right, wrestling. The Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com is brought to you in part by Green Solutions. There it is right there in the top. I would never be a weatherman. Top right corner right there. Green Solutions, cleaning and restoration. Two brothers born in Rexburg that have been blessed to find a way to work with one another. Their dad put them on the wrestling mat at 5 years old, and through their childhood, they had a lot of success, and then it carried over into high school and college as well. And through wrestling, they have learned that having success not only takes hard work, but putting in more time than their opponents. And in their business, they've certainly put in the time and energy to make them great at what they do. They have an edge, and they can help their customers have a great experience. They are the premium carpet cleaning company in the area. And then their main focus over the last 3 years has been in water damage, emergencies, and disasters, because nobody wants to wake up to a foot of water in the basement. Now, that being said, they've learned how to de-escalate the situation and help the customer through what can be a very difficult time. They love East Idaho and are grateful for the area and all of their loyal customers, and we are so grateful for their loyalty to us here at IdahoSports.com. That's Green Solutions, cleaning and restoration. All right, my name is Brandon Bainey. Welcome into the show, everybody. You did not come on here to hear me blather on for an hour. Honestly, nobody wants that. So let's tip it up here for our panel of experts tonight. Joining us from the Magic Valley is Al Fontes. Al, what's going on?
Magic. No, I'm doing really well. It was a fun weekend this weekend. Got to see a little bit of wrestling, but we're almost at that tipping point where we're getting closer to the postseason. This year's going by very quickly, so it's going fast.
Yeah, faster than I've ever remembered. This is the fourth year we've done this show, Al. I can't remember it getting to February quite so rapidly in any of the previous three. That is for sure. Hey, thanks to everybody for tuning in live tonight, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, X, or Instagram. We want to hear from you tonight, all right? We want to hear from you, the fans. So as we're talking throughout the night, we usually spend the first half hour on boys wrestling, the back half hour on girls wrestling. We'll bring on a couple more girls wrestling experts to help facilitate the conversation there. But we want to hear from you, the fans. So drop a shout out in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from tonight, and then give your favorite athlete, coach, team a shout out. If you've got a question for us or something you want us to dive in on, throw it in the chat. We'll throw it up on the screen. That is even more imperative tonight, Al, because we are a man down tonight. Normally, this is the part of the show where I'd say, and now joining us from East Idaho is Brian Zollinger. But Brian is down with the sickness a little bit. Better to be sick now than, in a couple of weeks when it's districts and then state, right?
That's right. Yeah, and I wish him a speedy recovery. I know it's going around, so wish him the best. For sure.
So Brian's going to take it easy tonight. And so we need you, Idaho Wrestling Nation, the diehards, to chime in tonight. We're really counting on you guys to help drive the conversation because, Al and I can talk for half an hour. I'm not sure it's going to be great, but we can. No, I'm just kidding. we can carry the conversation for sure, Al. So are you ready for double the amount of work tonight?
Let's potty.
Okay. And I think I found our episode title as well. Friendly reminder, you can, of course, watch this live, and many of you are on YouTube, Facebook, and X. You can also watch this anytime on replay at those three destinations as well. And you can listen to the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast at IdahoSports.com or wherever you download and subscribe to your podcast. That could be Google, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, etc. Whatever your favorite app is, you can listen if you're on the go and don't have time or don't want to see Al's in my face. So on that note, Al, what are you wearing tonight? It looks like a football jersey, but I know it's not.
It's called Real American Freestyle Wrestling. It's a new professional league that started up not too long ago. we've done this before in wrestling where we've tried to create a professional league. I would say that this has a lot of great potential. Eric Bischoff, who used to run WWF, he is like I believe the president of it. So far it's been interesting, and it's a professional league. They've been expanding out to wrestlers, across the country, some former wrestlers, bringing jiu-jitsu people in. And, now we got some of the guys from Dagestan, someone like, Abdul Rashid Sajilayev, and we got some good wrestlers like that from Cuba, Joel Romero coming in. It has a lot of potential because when you look at UFC, most fighters that go into UFC after wrestling, their career in the UFC has a short half-life. Not many people make it more than a couple years. So this is just another avenue for people can continue to compete beyond the years internationally.
So are the teams kind of like by city? Are they by country? How does that work?
They create, it's just like boxing. They'll have a ticket, and they'll have all the feature matches, and they'll have the main attraction in both men's and women's wrestling. They've been going around the country. It's on, I think, on Fox Network. They showed on there. It's growing. It has a lot of potential. The entertainment's good. The production's good. I mean, they're not there yet, but they're making a lot of strides, and I think it's good for wrestling.
That's cool. I actually am kind of into that. That's pretty cool. So, all right. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that for sure. So, hey, we got our first comment of the night here, Al. It's from Kelly Bartlett. Shout out to Bo Rushton and Gooding High School staff for hosting the first 4A Idaho State Dual Championships. Great event and some good duels. Yes, these were all kind of unofficial dual championships that we kind of held over the weekend, and we will talk about that certainly here in this first half hour. That's really all there was, just duels this past week. So, yes. Al, we always start the show with the best thing that we saw from the past week of competition. Al, you were at the Skyview duels down in the Treasure Valley. What was the best thing you saw from the past week of competition?
It wasn't individual matches per se, but first I want to give kudos to Dusty Vaughn, the head coach at Skyview. Runs a great tournament. Went really well, does a great job. I would have to say that the competition, there's a lot of teams rebuilding this year. There's a lot of young teams. I would say as a whole, it was really fun watching the camaraderie in the duels. I think dual meet wrestling is really important. There was just a lot of young kids wrestling, getting those opportunities in their first varsity matches. I would say the best thing I saw was just the excitement and the camaraderie with a lot of these teams competing against each other in the gym this past weekend.
Yeah, whether it was the 5A duels taking place up north, or the Gooding duels down south for the 4As, or where you were at Skyview, kind of just the Treasure Valley duels there. Really good competition all across the board, for sure. The best thing I saw also was not necessarily one specific thing on the mat, Al. This will be a longer story, but it'll I don't know how long it'll be. Earlier today, I had to go to the dentist, right? That's something we all have to do in our life, right? Well, I didn't realize who we had booked. This is the first time I'm going to a dentist in North Idaho, because I used to live in Southern Idaho. Mm-hmm. We moved up here, kind of had been putting it off, and finally my wife and I were like, all right, we got to find a dentist, and so my teeth don't fall out. So we find a dentist. It's covered on our insurance. I go there today. I walk in and I see all sorts of post-falls Trojan stuff in there. And I didn't realize this, but it was one of our Idaho wrestling diehards, Dr. Scholes, the dad to Xander Scholes from Post Falls. His dad is a dentist in town. So it was cool. We got to talk for just kind of a brief minute in between x-rays and stuff. And it was cool. I always love running into, the wrestling diehards in person. So.
No, that's awesome. It's a small world. I mean, everywhere I went around the world in my travels, if I ran into a wrestler, there was that mutual respect. It didn't matter language barrier or, political divide or just different cultures. We have a wrestling culture, and it's probably one of the strongest cultures in the world as far as sport.
Yeah, for sure. And look, here he is in the chat. It was my pleasure having you at the office today. So there you go. Hey,
do you have any cavities?
No. Oh, no. Let's just say this. My care and commitment to my teeth is the same as Xander's commitment on the mat, and kind of the same results. Xander's having a fantastic season. I'm having a fantastic life with my teeth. So
that's good.
All right. Well, on that note, Al, let's dive into some of these duels that took place. I kind of wanted to just, a couple of things, and maybe somebody or other people can empathize with me this year. Finding results has been extremely difficult, at least for me this year. I feel like, track wrestling, of course, is the place we go to get all of our results. And this year, they've kind of merged with Flow Wrestling. And so anytime I click on anything on track wrestling, it just takes me to Flow Wrestling anyways. I should probably just start going to Flow. But in terms of like finding results, like all of these duels that happened over the weekend, I don't know any of like how the teams did. Like how did, this team went 4-1 and beat this school and this school and this school. Like those results aren't there. It's just kind of a hodgepodge of just random information, and digesting all of it has been for me very difficult this year. I don't know what your experience has been like or anybody else that's trying to find results, but it's been kind of clunky at times.
You're not alone, Brandon. One thing I've learned too, I mean, it's just our normal algorithm, how we get our information is radically changed, and I don't like it either. However, you can go to Google or a search engine and just type in the tournament name, even if you use AI, and a lot of times it'll take you right to the main link instead of trying to search it. So that's another thing you can do as well.
Okay. A couple of comments in the chat here. Here's, of course, Amanda Younger from Post Falls. Love it. Talking about my story earlier. Smoke 6613. Flow is still a work in progress. It's a headache to find results. Validation. But here's Halo Star 22. Track wrestling left side. You can search by seasons. Quite easy. Yeah, I don't have a problem finding the tournaments that happened in the state. But then it's like once I click on a tournament, finding the team results and how they did, and like even like the brackets sometimes are like kind of hard to find, and I gotta just like click in a lot of spots to get it. So that's why we're relying really on the boots on the ground people, especially from the duels this weekend, because I did not really have any actual like results that I saw on track wrestling, and I'm only one person. I can only live in one area. So there. Sean Hennebury says OPC scroll to Idaho Federation on track wrestling. So okay, good. We're getting lots of help in the chat from this, Alan, which is good. Here is Brian in the chat. Brian, I told him if he wanted to chime in tonight via Facebook, he could. So he said the best thing Brian saw this weekend was the unofficial state duel tournament, something we've advocated for years. Hopefully it continues to grow. Congrats to the victors there. So, James Hammer with track, you can click classic view. Okay. I have not been aware of that. So that's good. That's good info there. Maybe I'll try it as we're doing the show tonight. But just in general, we've talked about this topic for at least the last 3 years. Bringing a state dual championships to the state of Idaho. Like I've said before, I've lived in states. I lived in Nebraska where they do that there. They have the state dual championships, and then 2 weeks later they have their actual, state tournament where it's team scores. I think this is something that the calendar is already so condensed. It's just the winter sports season, I feel like, just gets squeezed and doesn't get much anyways. But I think if we were serious about it, we could sit down and logistically figure out a way to do this.
I think we should. I think dual meet championships are really important because it gives a lot of kids that may not be on the first or second team to compete to be part of a state championship or a team that earns a banner or a medal, which can help them gain more confidence to come back next year to be even better. Plus the dynamic is radically different. I don't know if you've ever been to big dual meet championships when the competition's tight. It is one of the best events to go to. So I know Scott Hill has been working hard and amongst many other people trying to build this thing. I know it's not official yet, but wrestling's wrestling, and they're building it now. And I think if they keep doing it, next couple of years, hopefully it'll be officially sanctioned. But they're going to build something really good. And I give them kudos for doing that because I think it's part of the sport we got to expand on more.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just doing a quick search. Georgia, Florida, Alabama, New York, Tennessee, Iowa, Nebraska. They all hold dual championships and then team-specific tournaments. 3 states, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota, conduct their dual and individual state championships on the same weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That's
a lot of wrestling.
That seems kind of crazy to me.
That's crazy.
I don't know. Those people in the Dakotas and Minnesota, maybe there's not much else to do. So let's do it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I don't know. I really like the idea. I like the concept. I think because we talked about it before, that a team that is built to win a state championship in a tournament setting is not necessarily going to be the same team that wins a dual state championship.
Nope, different math. It's a different calculus per se, right? It's a whole different dynamic. It can be a faster pace. It can be a slower pace. It's just a totally different game.
And I guess Amanda wants to know, would it be before the state championship or after? I think before, probably.
I would recommend it before.
Yeah. And okay, let's just hypothetically sketch this out. If we were doing this, how would you bring a team and have a bracket, and whoever wins, this first matchup, whoever wins the most duels advances, or is it all individual? How would you
They normally put them in pods, and you wrestle so many matches in the pods, and then you can sometimes take the best teams from pod A, pod B, and then you have a championship pod. The teams that took second, then they have a sort of like a silver pod, the teams that took third, and you can advance depending on how you did in your main pod into the championship or win it like pod C or D or whatever in the end. So it gives other teams the opportunity to get more matches.
Okay, because if it was just a bracket, you could be 2 and out pretty quick there.
That's right.
Yep, I like that. Okay. Other question, in terms of figuring out who qualifies where, would you have a district duels meet in addition to the district meet, or would you take the results of the district meet and just apply that to both state tournaments? How would that work?
That's a good question. I mean, as far as you win the dual meet championship, and if you place so high at state, you get so many points going into state. Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking because right now we have our district tournaments, right? And who advances to state is determined off of that. Would we have to have a separate district tournament that's only scored dual style versus tournament style? Or would you just take the results of the one district tournament and then apply it to both the dual and the overall tournament?
Possibly. I'd have to look at all the data and look at it possibly, but I think it should be separate right now than what your duels in the district. Because if I would set it up to where you'd have the 2A pod, 3A, and then the champions from that can go on to the gold pod or whatever. So we've had 3A teams that can probably win it all, right? So it'd give a chance for the other ones to wrestle against the 6A and 5A in a championship bracket. So I'd do it like that for me.
Okay. And not everybody would advance. Obviously, you would have. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. This is fun. I like this. We're just kind of in real time brainstorming this out. So, and again, we'd love to hear from anybody in the chat that has any ideas on this for sure. Let's see. Sherry in the chat. Big shout out to Scott for working hard to make it happen. I think they're talking about those duels, those Gooding duels. Kelly says, shout out to USA Idaho Wrestling for providing the trophies to the top 4 teams in each division in the state dual championships. So
beautiful trophies.
Can you give us kind of the results or what you saw from? I know you said like American Falls was battling Fruitland at one point, and
yeah, I think American Falls won it. Fruitland was second. Homedale was third. Buell fourth. Kimberly was fifth. In sixth place was South Fremont. Then we had Bear Lake. Or Gooding was seventh. Bear Lake was eighth. And then Marsh Valley was ninth. So some of the key matchups out there, I have all the results. Like Fruitland wrestled Marsh Valley. They won 72-11. I think American Falls was the best team. They Russell's South Fremont beat them 59-24. Buell had a match against, I think, Gooding. I think they won 51-24. And I think for the finals, it was American Falls and Fruitland, and I'm not sure what that score was.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I only have a few of the results.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, incomplete picture for sure. So if anybody was at any of these and has information to fill in, we would love to have it. So here's a good question for Amanda. I'll table it until our girls discussion, but just to kind of warm up here, could they do a girls championship duel too? Just a question based on the discussion of girls wrestling not being fully sanctioned from last week. Okay, we'll ask our girls wrestling experts coming up here in about 10 minutes what they think about that. That should be an interesting conversation for sure. So we had the Gooding duels taking place down South Al, the Skyview duels where you were at, and then up north we had two sets of duels going on. We had the kind of the unofficial 5A duels, which ended up being essentially the four teams from the north: Moscow, Lewiston, Lakeland, and Sandpoint. And good on Minico for coming up to this thing. That it's not easy to get. First of all, Al, do you know what town Minico High School is located in?
It's in the south. I've been out there. It's in those rural farmland. I can't remember the name.
It's in Rupert.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And Minico, of course, stands for Minidoka County. It's because there's 4 or 5 towns that all go to the same school. It's not easy to get from Rupert to Rathdrum, Idaho, where Lakeland High School is. So good on Minico for coming up there. Minico went 4-0, Al. So wow. They beat Lakeland, they beat Sandpoint, they beat Lewiston, and they beat Moscow. And so Minico won. The matchup we were all keeping an eye on was Minico and Lakeland, and Minico won that 48-27.
Yeah, Minico has depth. They have depth. They have numbers. And when you're wrestling in dual meet championships, it's a long day, and sometimes you have to put some of your seconds in there to give the other wrestlers time to rest, or if there's injuries. It's so having depth is paramount to be successful.
Yep.
I mean, right there at the Skyview, Meridian had 2 teams there. They had the first, second team, and both teams wrestled really well. So,
yeah. And you talked about the depth of Minico. How much depth? So much that they brought their number 2s, and the Minico 2s also competed as a team at the duels. So that was pretty cool to see. And then a little further south, Al, in Kuski, where Clearwater Valley High School is located, we had the north-south duels there. This is kind of the 3A, 4A teams in North Idaho. Kellogg goes 8-1. St. Mary's finishes 9-1. So both teams have been ranked in the top 5 pretty consistently all year. They're in the same district. Really good to see these two. So St. Mary's beat Tri-Valley 42-34. They beat Westside. They beat Melba. They beat McCall Donnelly. St. Mary's, their lone loss came to Malad 64-21. And then Kellogg beat Melba, McCall Donnelly. The Malad number 2s, they beat Lapway as well. I'm gonna assume Kellogg's only loss also came to Malad. So this was cool. It was kind of the unofficial 3A duels up there in Kuski, Idaho. So
no, my first I always liked the duels because back in the early 90s when I was coaching out in California, we took our team, our second team, to a tournament called the Shark Shootout. It was in the Bay Area. There was about 50 plus teams there. You're talking 2 gyms, about 12 pods, 8-man. I mean, it was huge. And I've never seen so much competition, but that was the first time our team had lost in years. We made the championship pod, and we were going up against this team, Clovis. I'm like, who's Clovis? They can't be. We got destroyed, but we got to see some great competition and came out of it just seeing some of the best wrestling in those dual meet championships. So I just hope we continue to grow that area of the sport.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Amanda asked her, could they do a girls' championship duel? Cat's out of the bag in the chat here. There is going to be one next week at Kimberly High School. Brian, they're doing the unofficial girls dual state tournament next weekend at Kimberly. So we're going to talk about that coming up. Certainly. Miles also, Kimberly hosting the duels next week. And Kelly in there as well. So Brian, talking about the 4A duel, American Falls Fruitland in the final duel was fire. American Falls was down 36-39 going into the final match, and Googleman picked up 5 points for the Tech, and American Falls won 41-39. See, and that is the kind of excitement that you may not get at a large tournament setting necessarily, which, again, it's a whole different level of drama in terms of a dual matchup for sure. So here's Kyle Swift in the chat. Kudos to Minico for making the trip north. Hopefully more teams make it in the future for sure. And then, here's Kelly in the chat because these unofficial dual championships are all dependent upon the schools participating in it. And so Kelly says, to get this off the ground, all the 4A teams were invited to Gooding. And if you as a coach believe your team can compete, you should show up and prove it. I like that, Al. I like that a lot.
Yeah, we got to grow it. And they're doing a good job. I agree with Kelly and Scott Hill. He's been working a lot behind the scenes to try to build this platform. And I think it will continue to grow and be successful. And hopefully the IHSSA eventually will sanction it and make it an official championships.
Yeah, for sure. Kelly also says the 4A duel between American Falls and Fruitland came down to the last match, as did the third place match between Homedale and Buell. So, okay, that was also high drama. So love that for sure. Okay, here's Kyle Swift. Kyle emailed me earlier this week, Al. He is a Moscow fan, and in fact, he was not the only person that emailed me with this information as well. So this was kind of cool that two different people, totally unsolicited, emailed me because we've put the bat signal out there. Whenever an athlete for your favorite team or some athlete that crosses a signature milestone, 100 wins, 150 career wins, 200 wins, if you're really, high caliber, we want it. We want to hear that information. We want to hear that story. And so not only did Kyle Swift send this in, but also Zach Karskalen, the head coach at Moscow. He also sent this in to me. Ian Schwecke cleared his 100th career varsity over the weekend at the Lakeland Duels, Al. Ian actually attends Kendrick High School, but he competes with Moscow, a 5A school, during the season. But then when it's time for state, he will compete for Kendrick at the 3A state tournament. They just don't have enough wrestlers for their own team, so he kind of competes with Moscow. But either way, 100 wins for Ian Schwecke. Congratulations.
Kudos to him, and kudos to Moscow for allowing him to come in there and compete. We don't want to take away opportunities from kids. Only get this chance once, so great job.
Yep. And then along those lines, Al, a treasure trove of 100 or 150 accomplishments here. This is Jesus Alvarez from Caldwell. He got over 100 down at Spring Creek, Nevada earlier this year. And then, posing by yourself with the banner is nice, but hey, posing with the whole team's pretty cool too, right, Al?
No, it's awesome. Job well done. I wish him the best the rest of the season.
Yep. So Jesus Alvarez from Caldwell there. And then we have 4 American Falls Beavers here, Al. Wade Williams, 150 career varsity wins and counting. We have Blaze Turner, 150 career varsity wins and counting. We also have Evan Sims at 150 career wins and counting. So that's 3 American Falls boys over 150, 1 American Falls girl that we'll talk about in our girls wrestling discussion as well. And then also from Sandpoint, Al, here's Jackson Holman, over 100 career wins for the Sandpoint Bulldogs as well. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, congratulations. That's a lot of wrestling. I mean, some of those kids you mentioned are only juniors. So that means you're getting, up to 50 matches a year. That's a lot of wrestling. Of wrestling.
And Ian getting some love in the chat here as well from Michelle. Ian Schwecke. Hello. So, okay, last thing to wrap up with, and then we will switch over to our girls wrestling conversation. Al has been working on this season a list of all of the college commits, all of our Idaho wrestlers that have committed and signed to wrestle at the college level. I know this is by no means a complete list. So what we're going to show tonight is what Al has been able to dig around and find out so far. And if you see a name that's missing on this list, please send me an email, Brandon@IdahoSports.com, and I'll make sure it gets added to the next list that we do. But this is a pretty good list to start, Al. These are the 2026 college commits. You see on the men's side or the boys' side there, 2 Division I signees, both to Utah Valley, coached by an Idaho guy, right? Coach Hall from Bonners Ferry. So Nathan Gugelman, the second from American Falls, and Brandon Edstrom from Madison, both going to Utah Valley. Some really good NAIA wrestlers in there as well. Logan Shaver, Ryan Herchert, Ty Adams. I love Aiden Yearout from St. Mary's going to North Idaho College. It's Idaho's only college wrestling program as well. And then even some D2 guys here, Jackson Freeman of Caldwell and Ryan Lewis of Middleton, both going to Western Colorado University. And Johnny Bem from Shelley going to Tiffin University over in Ohio. So,
well, that's great. No, I just encourage, a lot of people talk about Division I. There's so much great wrestling in Division II, NAIA, JUCO. Wrestling's tough at every division, and just go. I just encourage kids to take their time on this choice and go where it's going to get your best academic and best athletic experience. There's a lot of opportunities out there. So kudos to these kids, and I wish them the best.
Yeah, I lived in Havre, Montana for about 3 years, and up there, Montana State University Northern, NAIA program, no joke. I'd put them up against anybody. The Northern Lights of MSU Northern, they were legit for sure. So,
well, Providence is getting a lot of our kids. There's a lot of Idaho wrestlers wrestling men and women's at Providence University in Montana. So there's almost a pipeline going on right now. So,
yeah, and they're where Providence is in Great Falls. It's probably, I don't know, an hour and a half from Havre. So they're right there. They're regional rivals. They're in the same conference. They're kind of fueling each other. It's kind of like a North Idaho College and Big Bend from Oregon, or a North Idaho College and a Clackamas from Oregon. Like they're close, they're rivals, and they're pushing each other. And so it's really cool to see.
Yeah, and kudos to Talia Nichols. She's going to Division II at Sioux Falls. I think we mentioned that last week as well. I haven't seen any other girls, so like you said, I hope people will let us know if someone is committed, and that way we can keep the list updated and go from there.
Yep. All right. Well, on that note, we've got plenty to talk about on the girls wrestling side, including what happened last week. A lot of teams went out of state for competition. And then, of course, we got the duels coming up this weekend. So we'll talk girls wrestling on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
Once again, we have contributed to your ideal college savings program. Love, Grandma and Grandpa.
Ideal. Eventually, they'll appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. I love it.
College costs money.
That's fitting right after we did a segment about the college signings, right, Al? Talking about college savings. So it is the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, Instagram account, and the Idaho Wrestling News Facebook page. As you're hanging out tonight, we want to hear from you, the fans. If you've got a question, a comment, a shout out, you want to shout out your favorite team, your favorite athlete, let us know where you're watching from tonight. Throw it in the chat. We'll throw it up on the screen. We want you, the fans, to really drive the conversation. And as you're hanging out tonight, if you could hit that like button if you're on Facebook, or the subscribe button on YouTube, and then share this when it's all said and done, that'll help everybody that wasn't able to be here live tonight find this a little easier on replay, amongst all the other stuff on social media that's going on. So the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast is brought to you by Green Solutions, small business taking over East Idaho with their water damage restoration company. That's Green Solutions. All right, it's time to talk girls wrestling tonight. We were a man down for our boys wrestling segment. We are a man down for our girls wrestling segment, but that's all right, because we have joining us now the head coach of the Sandpoint High School and middle school wrestling programs up north, Val Johansson. Val, how's it going?
Hi guys, how are you?
Good.
We're doing really good. Really good. So normally we would have Fred Bartlett here as well. He's the coach from Buell to kind of give that Southern Idaho perspective, but he is down with the sickness tonight as well. So we hope Fred feels better soon along with Brian. So, Val, it's better to get sick now than in a couple weeks when your team needs you, right?
Oh, I agree. And we definitely have that sickness going around up north. I think it's just the end of January funk that I think we all get into and hits us pretty hard. But I'm confident everybody rallies. I'm going to be ready for districts in a couple of weeks and then state.
For sure. Here's Amanda in the chat. Whoop, whoop. Hey, Val. So good to see Amanda there for sure. Okay, we were talking about wrestlers that have crossed over 100 career wins. Here is we have one picture, and then I've got one comment that I'll show here. But from American Falls High School, here is Courtney Hunt, and she just got over 100 career wins. She's a really really excellent wrestler, Val. I've been really impressed with her this year.
Oh, she's had an exceptional career, I think, all 4 years. She has just been one of those girls who's been at the top consistently and has been very consistent in her wrestling and making the podium almost at every tournament she's at. So that is definitely well earned for her.
For sure. So congratulations to Courtney Hunt, 100 career wins. And then I did want to bring up our list of college commits here. Like we said, there's really only one girl that we've heard of so far. As a coach, because part of your job is to, try to coordinate with colleges. Hey, I think my girl might be a good fit for this program. How has that process been going? Is we're still kind of in the infancy stages of officially sanctioned girls wrestling in Idaho?
I think it's going okay. What Idaho has is a pretty dominant spring season and summer season, right? We were able to send 63 girls this year to Fargo. That number is consistently growing. And as we get finalists into Fargo more consistently, right, it puts Idaho on the map. And I know that I've talked to several college coaches this year and college scouts just regarding girls in Idaho. And a lot of it's, I wish we had a lot more colleges closer. Girls want to stay home to wrestle. They want to be able to wrestle where their families can come see them. And for a lot of girls, that's not, you're not able to go to the East Coast where, there's a ton of colleges. There's only a few on the West Coast, and there's about 6 within 18 hours of Idaho, right? Like within an 18-hour bubble, you can go, to Providence, you can go to Minot State, you've got JUCOs, the most at Big Bend, Umpqua, and of course, SOU, EOU. Like you have those core colleges within about 16 hours. But that's it.
So Val, I got a question. Okay. I've never asked this, never thought about it. Our one team, Idaho, Northern Idaho, they've been a traditional strong program through the years. Has there been any discussion up in the Panhandle about maybe adding women's wrestling at the JC there?
I think North Idaho College has they just cut a couple of programs, athletics. So I don't know what that it's definitely above my pay grade. I'm not in those circles, but just from an outsider's perspective, if they're cutting athletics, I don't think there's talk of adding any. I wish there was. I mean, think of that opportunity. Some college in Idaho needs to offer women's wrestling because, man, the pool is just so large here and you wouldn't have to go far to recruit.
Yeah, and when I looked at the numbers statistically per capita, we keep talking about we need more girls. Actually, when you compare the numbers to one of the biggest states, when you look at population per capita, we're actually exceeding what our ratio is to that state. So we're actually doing very well number-wise. And going back to you were talking about New York. So I went to the National Federation of High School Associations. They keep all the statistics. So when it became a sanctioned sport in 2022-23 season, they had about 57 schools and 891 participants. Prior to that, they just started in 18 or 19. They had 168 girls. The next year they went down a little bit, but then once they sanctioned it, they went up almost 700%, from like 107 to 890, and they've been consistently growing to where they're around just over 1,400 girls. My question is the sanction helps, but what is the driver to make it grow like that? I see that they wrestle freestyle. Is that the factor there? I mean, because we're doing folk style, but girls in college wrestle freestyle, then international freestyle. So, and we're doing collegiate. I just wonder if that was the factor in their growth so much, because it's, freestyle is big there.
It's very big there. And they just went with it from the beginning. They were like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to match with the girls wrestling college. And I think because they did that from the beginning, it was easier. I think, the majority of the state, they're the only state in the union that does that. All the other states that have women's wrestling is all folk style. And I think that's probably where it needs to stay for a little bit, right? Until it grows a bit more and programs get, adequately staffed and, there's enough refs in the area to accommodate two different styles in a high school season.
That would be the biggest logistics challenge right there.
Yeah.
Trying to
but
find certified.
For Idaho, if we can keep our middle school programs growing at the way that they're growing right now, it's just going to continue to skyrocket, whether the state fully sanctions it or not. These middle school girls are coming up in droves right now, and I don't think that pipeline is going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah, whether they sanction or not, that'll only give you more capability. But I think the groundwork and the grassroots efforts is really the driver. That's why it's growing. People like yourself, Fred, and all the people that are involved, Hannah Bree, and all these people that are involved with the growth. That's the true driver, in my opinion, more than just it being sanctioned. That has to happen for the reality. So keep up the great work. I think you're doing a great job.
No, the girls do all the hard work. We just give hugs and high fives.
There you go.
I like that. That's good for sure. Here is Kip Messerly in the chat. A little late to the convo, but Alina Messerly got her 100th win just after Christmas against Taylor Brown from Thunder Ridge at the West J tournament. No poster yet. That's all right. Hey, you don't have to have the poster. Okay, we just want to celebrate the excellence on the show. So we're glad you chimed in there for sure. Nick Connell, I wish BSU would bring their program back. I think that ship has sailed. I think realistically, Val is correct. North Idaho College is kind of in a holding pattern right now. They just cut men's and women's golf, which was really only about 10 athletes. But the problem was travel. I think they had to travel quite a bit to all these far places to go compete in golf. But I don't think they're in a spot where they're adding any sports right now. I also don't think it's North Idaho College's responsibility to carry the load for the entire rest of the state. Somebody else can step up and do this. We already have men's wrestling at NIC. I think of a school like the College of Idaho down in Caldwell. Yeah. That would be a perfect landing spot. It's NAIA. You've already got some built-in rivals in Providence and, some of the Oregon schools you could. I think that's the perfect spot, Val.
Yeah, and College of Idaho, they support their athletes. Like if you just look at all their sports programs as a whole, they are athlete driven and they just support that student athlete model very, very well. And like you said, they're in a great location in Idaho. They've got EOU, SOU. I mean, there's Providence. They can compete. There's a built-in league for them already. So that work is already done.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. What's that, Val?
Let's go Yotes.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think NAIA would be the best bet. When you go in Division I's radically changed with the NIL and the portal. It is getting more and more difficult to compete with the top tier teams that have unlimited sources of money. So I think NAIA would be our best bet at this point.
Yeah, here's Miles in the chat. Idaho State University in Pocatello was closest at one point. I would say they're also kind of in a holding pattern right now. I think their big focus is they're trying to fundraise for new facilities for some of their other sports. So that's kind of their big. They're not looking to add sports while fundraising for new facilities all at the same time. So that would be a tough one for sure. Here's our obligatory Molly Monsta for Molly Alagi from Skyline. And so, yeah, Val, let's dovetail into the competitions that happened last week. There wasn't a ton going on in Idaho. I know you and Sandpoint went over to Othello, Washington. How did that go?
I am still riding a little high from Othello. We came in there definite underdogs. We had never been in there. None of our girls were seeded. These were, 44 girls in each bracket. And I was like, oh, I hope we can come out with, a top 10, I think is, we'll have our heads up high. And kudos to not only Sandpoint, but Post Falls for both teams going in there, representing Idaho extremely well, and Sandpoint taking second at Othello and Post Falls taking fourth. That's a big deal for Idaho. That is a big deal because we were definitely outnumbered, and it was just great to see, along with Shelby from Timberlake, whenever there was an Idaho girl on the mat, regardless if it was Shelby on the mat or Emma Younger on the mat, whomever, the other Idaho team girls were there supporting. And that was just fantastic to see. And there were some great matchups. Lily Marty in the finals taking out the number 1 seed at 235. And Lily was she was the smallest in that weight class, and she's definitely not used to that. And those Washington girls, I don't know, were ginormous. And she did a great job. Callie Brown won in her finals. Emma Younger took second in a very tough finals match. But it was a great day over there in Othello for Idaho girls.
Yeah, here's Amanda.
Shelby Garden was defended her championship from last year, won it again this year.
Yep. Yeah, 3 champions. Shelby Garten at 125 from Timberlake. Callie Brown, great sophomore from Post Falls at 130. And then Lily Marty for Sandpoint at 235. There. Royal Washington won overall, but like you said, Sandpoint and Post Falls both finished incredibly high. Amanda says, Lily Marty shining bright. So proud of her. And Callie was a beast. No doubt about it. And then even a little closer to home, Lake City went over to Spokane and competed at the Pacific Northwest Classic. And one of their sophomores, Poppy Shank, she got a 140-pound championship win there as well.
She did. And Lake City went over there with 4 girls and finished 4th in that tournament. Or was a top 10 finish? Sorry, top 10 finish with 4 girls. That's very impressive. But Poppy was definitely the standout there in that tournament at 140.
Yeah, pretty epic for sure. And then talking about Shelby Garten, Amanda says Shelby had an eye poker of a match. Way to come out on top. So
yeah, she did.
Sure.
And kudos to Randy Miller for running that tournament. It was good, and they were very mindful of time, and it was a great tournament.
Yep. And then I was trying to see in terms of what else was going on for Southern Idaho teams. Did Gooding have a competition with some of their girls teams at the Gooding Grappler? It looked like maybe they did, but
I think they did. I haven't pulled that one up yet. But the CV they did their scramble.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, they're in Kuski, and St. Mary's came out with, there was a bunch of teams that had 2 champions, but just want to give a shout out to St. Mary's. Jo Jane Barta at 120, and then 125, Caitlin Spandau did very well. Both those girls won their scrambles.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm pulling it up here. Gooding Grappler girls. It looks like Bear Lake was the team champion, 91.5 points. Wendell, 2nd. American Falls, 3rd. That's your top 3 there. Mostly teams from the Magic Valley and some teams from East Idaho went over and competed there at the Gooding Grappler. So here's Amanda in the chat. Of course, Emma held her own with a girl who had been wrestling for 13 years, and Emma has only wrestled for 3 years. We talked about that. Washington has gotten the jump on almost everybody. They were one of the first states to really, go full bore with girls wrestling. So these girls have come up through the ranks. So in terms of experience, yeah, it's a very lopsided there.
Yeah, they had a lot of experience there in Othello. Like, it was impressive to watch a lot of those matches. And Izzy Stark had one that went into double overtime against a ranked Washington girl, and she came out on top to send her into the placing round. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah,
pretty epic. So we were talking about Alina Messerly from West J. Of course, she matched up with Taylor Brown at Tiger Grizz and suffered an injury and did not return. It looks like she is still in the concussion protocol. It's going to be out for this week as well, and we sure hope she can get back. We're running out of runway here in terms of the regular season, Val, so hopefully Alina can get back quickly and be ready in time for districts.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same thing, it looks like Jessie Rice also got hurt at the CV scramble this weekend against the Malad girl, Ava Schultz. And so really, prayers up for Jessie Rice that she returns also, because that's a big loss for us in the North.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this weekend, the talk of the town is the girls' duels that are taking place at Kimberly. How exciting is it that Idaho is kind of doing, kind of like the boys? It's unofficial, but just the fact that we got this thing organized and we're going to have some teams there, pretty exciting.
Yeah, so that's actually February 7th. So not this coming up weekend, but next weekend.
Next weekend. Okay.
Yes. And so Fred actually sent me a list because he's great. There are a lot of teams committed. Preston, Burley, Twin Falls, Canyon Ridge, Buell, Gooding, Fruitland, Meridian, Eagle, Thunder Ridge, Parma, Kimberly, Malad, Skyline, and maybe Jerome. So that's impressive. Like,
I'd say the girls' coaches were more committed than the boys.
Yeah, go Kimberly Bulldogs, but I wish it was somewhere more central in Idaho because I think you would definitely draw the northern schools down because between Post Falls, Sandpoint, Lewiston, those are teams with full rosters.
Yeah. Well, I think eventually we'll have to just rotate it, right? One year it's in East Idaho, 1 year it's in the South, 1 year it's in the North, and
wow, that's a lot of teams this is the first time they're going to try it. And I think if they produce numbers like this and it just keeps growing, it's going to be spectacular. And it'll be a real championship duel.
Yeah. And we talked about it, and we've talked about with Fred specifically with his Buell girls this year, they have a chance to go to the big state tournament and compete with Eagle and Thunder Ridge and Rocky Mountain and all those. I almost feel like in a dual tournament type setting, like the chances for the smaller schools to compete go up, as opposed to a big overwhelming tournament where it's just strength in numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do hope that the state looks at that and looks at classifications and just because the numbers are split pretty evenly between 6A, 5A, and then 4A and below, and making us a 3 classification state just to kind of even it out a little bit. Because you're right, you go into the state tournament and it's really hard for a Buell or a 3A school, with a few girls on the roster to compete with, these other schools that are able to bring a lot more girls to state.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a list of things to check off here for sure. So, okay, let's talk about, since I skipped ahead 2 weeks, let's talk about what's actually happening this week in Idaho, starting with, here's Miles in the chat. This weekend, the 5th annual Big Mountain Girls Invite at Burley had over 50 teams want to attend. We'll see how many we shake out. Let me check the list here, but this is cool. The Big Mountain, of course, in Burley, and Burley has had some really good wrestlers over the past couple of years, for sure. It looks like, can I get a team list here? We have Bear Lake, Blackfoot, Bonneville, Buell, Burley, Canyon Ridge, Centennial, Century, Chalice, Columbia, Declo, Emmett, Filer, Glens Ferry, Grace, Highland, Hillcrest, Idaho Falls, Jerome, Kimberly, Madison, Malad, Marsh Valley, Middleton, Minico, Mountain View, Nampa, Oakley, Owyhee, Preston, Raft River, Ridgeview, Rigby, Ryrie, Rocky Mountain, Salmon, Shelley, Skyline, Skyview, Snake River, Soda, South Fremont, Sugar, Timberline, Twin Falls, Wendell, West J, West Side, and Wood River, and 1 team from Nevada. So basically, if you have a team and you're in Southern Idaho, you're probably in Burley this week. I'd say they probably got the 50 there. That's awesome. Yep.
That is awesome. And we also have up here in the north, we have the North Idaho Rumble this weekend. So that's a big one. And it's drawing up some southern teams. We have CUNA coming up, as well as Valley View for the girls. I think Pocatello is coming up for the boys. So that'll be nice to see. And that's creating some opportunities this week for some duels before the North Idaho Rumble. So we're all pretty excited about that. And it's also the first time that the girls will have their own tournament. Corey Owens was gracious enough to host that at Lake City on Saturday.
Awesome. So the boys will be at Coeur d'Alene High and the girls will be over at Lake City. Cool. Yep. That's going to be, and they're really not that far apart. All right. They're just
like really the highway.
Yeah. You just go across Highway 95 and you're pretty much at the other one. So it's not that big a deal. So that's cool for sure. Okay. Here's a question. And here, Kelly in the chat, the girls will be at Burley at the Big Mountain Tournament this weekend in conjunction with the boys at Red Halverson in Minico. Yeah. That's going to be the big boys tournament down south. And Caldwell is hosting a tournament as well, Al, over in your neck of the woods this weekend.
Caldwell is that going to be the is it the JV tournament or the varsity and JV tournament? I believe they run both.
Yeah, I think it's both.
Girls. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that'll be
great tournament. I've been there before. They do a great job.
Yeah, and it looks like Sugar Salem is maybe doing something, the Battle for the Buckle, boys and girls this weekend also. So that's kind of cool too. Here's a question from Amanda. She wants to know, how about referees from all areas too for state? Yeah, I guess I've never really ask that for girls wrestling specifically, how those, I got to assume the number of referees is low. Just in every sport, it's low, but especially probably for a newer sport like girls wrestling. How many referees are doing boys wrestling and girls wrestling? How many of those referees do you see at matches for both genders, Val?
All
They
of
do
them.
both.
Yeah, they do both.
It's wrestling.
Yep. It's just wrestling. I've never seen one, regardless of which gender they are, choose. Like if you're there to ref, you're for boys and girls.
Okay, perfect. I know in some sports it's different, and so that's why I wanted to ask. I always ask the layman's questions, but of course I'm in a room full of experts. So, okay, so then how does that get determined at state? I know in other sports you have to basically be among the best in your district, and then they do try to get equal representation from all 6 districts in Idaho. But
I believe that's the same. There were northern refs down there last year at state. We didn't see any for Raleigh, which is a bummer, but for state, I believe they get referee representation from each district.
okay,
Yeah.
Region.
Usually, I mean, most states are critiqued throughout the year, and they try to get the best at the state tournament if possible.
I know in other sports, Val, coaches have some input on that. They can kind of grade referees on how they did with their specific teams. Is that a component for?
If there is, I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
I always just try and shake hands and say thank you.
Keep your head low and yeah. Okay. Let's see. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. I'm asking North referees and South referees. I guess I think they're from all over when it comes to state. So
yes, there is representation from each district reffing pool.
Yeah.
At state.
Yep. So, okay. Well, on that note, anybody else in the chat, let us know where your team's going to be competing this weekend. I have a feeling it's probably going to be at Red Halverson in Minico, or potentially, if you're the girls, you got to choose between Caldwell or Burley or Sugar Salem, and then up north it's the North Idaho Rumble, and then we do have the Artie Brown tournament as well over in New Plymouth. I think, is that the one, Al, where they give out the kind of cool hat with the pilgrim buckle on it?
Oh, I believe that it is.
It is.
That is a fun one.
That's a cool one for sure over there. So, over in New Plymouth. So, how cool is that, Val? There's almost more girls competitions this weekend than boys.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And really, I think now every single weekend there's opportunities for girls to compete and quality tournaments for them to compete in. So kudos to Idaho and all those coaches that are growing the sport.
Yep, no doubt about it. So Al and Val, you did all the heavy lifting tonight for Brian and Fred. You both deserve kudos, and you dealt with my borderline awful questions all night. So Val
There's
is
no
always
awful questions. All questions are good.
That's right.
All right. Well, good luck to everybody competing this weekend. We're getting to the end of it here. I mean,
it's the final stretch.
Yeah,
it really is.
I always ask Fred this, and I'll ask you too, Val. At what point do you start really figuring out which weights your athletes are going to compete at?
Well, I can say that girls make this very difficult across the state of Idaho. These girls bounce around all year, and so we have already started that conversation amongst our coaching staff, and we're putting it together, I think, like other coaches. But again, girls are a little different than boys. They move around a bit more. They don't lock into their weight class and decide. They like to mix it up and keep everybody guessing.
Yep. I'm just and like I've said before, I loved how Jolie Slider would always try to figure out where her top opponent was going, and then she's like, I want to be in that weight too.
I want to go match her. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I love
that. God, I wish I had that option when I competed. My coach is like, you're cutting this week. I didn't have
Yeah, nobody wants to be in that situation.
No.
So. All right. And here's Brian with the last word on the referees, because he would know each district coaches and referees vote for referees from their district. That's how that works. So
I was hoping he would respond.
Yep. Brian, we appreciate you sticking it out in the comments tonight, even though you were really sick. We hope you start to feel better. We hope everybody If you got the bug running through your team, this is a good week to get it through and out, and then hopefully everybody is ready to go for the final weeks of the regular season in districts and state. And we're going to turn the calendar to February, and then we're like 3 weeks out from state, which is just crazy to think about. So, it's coming.
Very fast.
Yep, can't wait. So thanks for tuning into the Idaho Matt Chat Prepcast, everybody. For Al Fontez and Val Johansson, I'm Brandon Baney. We'll see you back here next Tuesday night for another edition of the Idaho Matt Chat Prepcast, live on IdahoSports.com.